As we've grappled with the worst pandemic in a century, experienced lockdowns, some more than others, and seen the effects that's had on lives and jobs, how have we been coping? In the Australia Talks survey, we asked generally, how do people rate their mental health? 19% of young adults said it was poor, but things improved as we moved through the age groups. To understand whether the pandemic had widened that gap, we asked people to report whether their mental health had changed since we first heard of COVID-19. Overall, 30% said it had worsened, 11% said it had improved. But young people, on average, came off second best. Let me show you the age splits for the people who said that their mental health worsened. About half of 18 to 24-year-olds said their mental health was worse now than before the pandemic. 44% of 25 to 29-year-olds said the same, and that dropped dramatically through the ages. It might be a mistake trying to pin that all on the pandemic, because we also think technology is having a negative effect on Australians' mental health, overwhelmingly so, and across all age groups. 3/4 of us said devices like this are a drag on our spirits. But despite the big differences in the lived experiences of people, there's pretty broad agreement Australia's not doing a great job when it comes to mental health support and suicide prevention. Nationally, 62% say Australia needs to do more, and every age group agrees.
So how do your views compare to the survey? Head to abc.net.au/Australia Talks to find out. Let's stay with the findings of the Australia Talks survey on mental health. Here's Professor Nicola Reefley from the Centre for Mental Health at Melbourne University. Nicola, hi there. So this is a startling finding. Young people came off worse in almost every mental health related question. So as a mental health expert, what's your reaction to that? Are you surprised or not?
Not really surprised, because the findings about, higher prevalence of problems in younger people is pretty consistent with what we see in large national surveys. So no, not really surprised about that. I think also, when we see the impacts of the pandemic on things like schooling, casual work, which a lot of young people are often in, and the disruptions to that, and disruptions to social life, which is, of course, really important to young people, I'm not particularly surprised by those findings.
And pandemic aside then, Nicola, has it always been this way? Are young people just more vulnerable to mental health issues because they're at that stage of life? It's all about change, uncertainty, worries about the future.
Yes, definitely. So you do tend to see, we know that statistics show that 75% of mental health problems start before the age of 24, about 50% before the age of 14. So that age around puberty, really represents a period where risk increases. So yes, that's absolutely right.
And are young women more likely than young men to have mental health issues?
Yeah, again, that's a pretty consistent finding. So you tend to see that women are at greater risk of depression and anxiety, whereas young men are probably at greater risk of, say, substance use problems and maybe conduct problems in younger people. That's, again, consistent with what we know.
So if younger people are hit hard, does mental health improve as you get older?
Yes, it does improve when you get older. It sort of starts to, particularly maybe when you're talking about depression and anxiety, it starts to peak. It sort of rises and then peaks in that sort of mid-20s to 30s and then gets better as people get older. That, again, that's a consistent finding.
Casey Briggs touched on this. What impact is technology having on the mental health of Australians?
So this is this is a question that everyone has opinions on. So when we look at the data, and it's quite difficult to say actually, because we don't have really good data on this, but in general, it's possible that technology is having an impact, but probably really what we know is that it depends how you use it. If you're a young person whose self-esteem and sense of self-worth is very dictated to by, how many likes you get on something you post, or if, for example, you're waking up in the middle of the night a lot to, check your messages, that disrupts your sleep. Those things are probably going to impact on your mental health. But, social media is a tool. It can be beneficial and it can be harmful, and it's really about how you use it. For some young people, that sense of connection with a supportive peer group can be a really important thing. I think we've seen that in isolation. It's an important way people can keep in contact with their friends. So it's probably interacting with your personal circumstances and vulnerability rather than a black and white, is it harmful, is it not kind of question.
And Nicola, in terms of the future being faced by young people, there was a question in the survey about whether Australia is doing enough about climate change. Do the results, do you think, suggest anxiety might be higher in those who don't think we're doing enough to combat global warming?
Yeah, this is something I wondered when I looked at the survey, actually, because, you know, you've obviously got the data there that young people are, you know, more concerned about their mental health. And so I thought, to me, it raised the question, you know, because this is obviously an age when young people are looking to the future, and climate change and how that's going to be addressed is you know, definitely going to have an impact on young people. And again, you know, we're starting to see data on this and what young people think about this. And I think it's an area that we need to do a lot more thinking about.
Professor Nicola Reefley, thank you so much.
Thanks very much.